So, I said to the guy, I was like, "Oh my yord!" And, uh, and like the guy just looked at me and was just like, "What the hell is this guy smoking?" Like who the hell is Yord? And I'm just like, you have to be there, man. You just
You've
have
got
to
to
be
feel
there.
it in your soul.
Yeah, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
got to be on a soul patrol.
Isn't that when a Jedi crosses a body of water, it's like it's yording the river?
Oh,
Ooh, that's a
I don't
good
think
one,
Jedi are
yeah.
supposed to cross bodies of water. I think that goes against like OSHA regulations for their
I
specific
thought
it may.
certification.
it may.
It may.
You have to
Leah,
be jessying.
Leah, I thought that you were going to go a completely different direction by talking about Starlight for a second. I was like, please don't talk about the beacon. Please don't talk about the beacon. Hey, John. Hashtag OSHA regulations. Yes,
Yes.
that is true. We love our fan groups here. Also, hashtag Nubs Nation. Like the
Nubs.
Hashtag Nubs Nation. Welcome back,
Don't
Young
forget-
Jedi Adventures.
Don't forget the Geod group.
Oh yes, and we cannot
Yeah.
forget about hashtag Turgletown.
Yes.
And we can't forget about hashtag what was it that Christina had, Buckwatch 2023, when we were trying to figure out the fate of buckets of blood. God, Matt, I need to get you into the High Republic, dude. I need to get you in there.
I'm starting to get my appetite whetted with the
Yeah.
Acolyte. I've been
Nubs bubs.
really enjoying it so far.
Mhm.
So I've been needing to get myself into the workshop to finish up my commissions, and
Oh,
I just
yeah.
got paid. So I'm thinking a High Republic audiobook is on the agenda.
Well, we can give you plenty of recommendations, but of course, we always say start with Light of the Jedi and then go from there.
That's the one that's on Spotify, right?
Yeah, it's on Spotify and on Audible.
Yes.
Take a look here. Light of the
And I believe you can also get it through Libby. But
it's included in premium.
ooh, for
Okay.
what? Spotify?
Yeah, for Spotify.
Ooh,
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
I know some of the Phase 1 books are.
So you can listen to the Great Hyperspace Disaster while working on your shields, brother.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. So joining me tonight, we have an all-star panel. We have Leah, of course. We have Mandy, welcoming back, and joining us from. He's not in his ski chalet this week.
I'm getting into it. There we go.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
I'm joining you from my ski chalet in the mountains. Excuse me while I have my caviar.
Are you in the Poconos?
Yes, it's my vacation house when I'm not in the Hamptons.
I have one in the
I'm on Dalna.
Adirondacks. Oh,
I'm in danger.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you. Thank you, Ralph Wingham. Thank you. Hey, here's $10. Go see a Star Wars.
There we go.
Anyway, so speaking of fans and enjoying stuff,
Oh boy.
we got it. I can't believe we're having this discussion again.
It's gonna be an interesting one, that's for sure.
But
Again, yes.
we're gonna have this discussion again because people just can't shut up and let other people enjoy things. Now, I will say this. If you legit do not enjoy the show because like you have valid criticisms, that's fine. It's not for everybody. It really isn't.
We're talking about the people who are going to unrelated movies and shows on IMDb that have Acolyte in the title
You
and
mean
say
like
this is the worst Star Wars to ever happen.
you mean
1
like
star.
the fan film that's
Wait,
getting
what?
reviewed
Yeah,
some
you-
on
yeah,
or
you
like
know
the
this?
movies, or like the movie
No.
or like the movie Acolytes from
There's
2008.
There is
There's
a
no
Star
review
Wars
bombing in Bossing Say.
There is a Star Wars fan film that they are bombing on IMDb, and it was called The Acolyte, and it's a fan film, and they're review
And they're
bombing
saying
it.
like,
Yeah.
this is just the lowest point of Disney's Star Wars on something that Disney had no part in.
And really funny? The movie that they're review bombing, Acolytes, has Joel Edgerton in it, and he is Uncle Owen.
Uncle Owen, yeah.
It's it's rule number one: don't be a piece of bantha poodoo.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
You know. Number two, it's okay if you don't like something. It's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to you don't have to interact with things that you don't like.
Mhm.
It doesn't make you less of a fan just because you don't enjoy something.
No, despite the romance novels that I read, I have zero interest in Formula One racing. So I just don't engage with it
I am
outside
gonna
of the Formula One romance novels.
I am gonna say though that if the fans really want to be true fans, they need to have multiple blades and be able to generate an air current.
Why was my first thought Grievous?
General Kenobi.
Look, he's got multiple blades, and I'm sure he could generate an air current if he spun them around
I'm
fast
sure
enough.
he does when he spins them around like that. Yeah.
General Grievous, the confirmed a very angry ceiling fan.
Oh,
Yes.
very
The-
angry ceiling fan.
The actual reason why Dooku taught him to do that is because it was so stuffy in Sereno, in his palace on Sereno. And he didn't want to like send someone to go get like a fan for him. So he's like, Grievous, I will train you in the Jedi arts.
I will train you. However, you must keep me cool at an even 72 degrees
Degrees
Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit.
Hey, Chris, what's up, man? For if you do not keep me cool, I shall kill you. I was thinking of the Inquisitor lightsaber that flies.
That
No,
too.
we just,
That
yeah.
Look, it could definitely generate an air current if it
It
can
could.
provide
I
lift.
mean,
The helicopter sabers, yeah.
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 So,
Yeah.
anyway, it's 2024. People are pissed off as usual because nobody can enjoy anything.
Mm.
No.
And apparently Disney's pushing some agenda that George Lucas has been pushing for over 40 years.
Yes.
Right. It's just like it's like people complaining about there being progressive ideology in stuff today. It's like, yes, welcome to science fiction. That's what makes it lovely.
Science
And
fiction
in its
has
MO. Yeah.
It reminds
Yeah.
me of people that call Star Trek, the new Star Trek, woke. And you want to answer, Star Trek's always been woke.
It had the first
if
interracial
anything, this is the
kiss.
least
Yes.
woke it's ever been.
Oh,
But yeah.
Star Trek
Yeah.
in the 60s had its first interracial kiss.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's always been woke.
And it's because of shows like that pushing the envelope why we don't think anything about stuff like that today.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we might not think anything. I'm sure some of the people who are complaining about the Acolyte think like that.
I mean, yeah, sure. If you go out into
Yeah.
You know, in for a penny.
You know what? I'm just going to start review bombing their stuff.
What
But their
stuff?
stuff
They
is
have no. They
already-
don't have a creative
the
bone
thing
in their
is-
I
body.
know.
The thing is, their stuff is those horrible movies that like do so bad that they don't even get like put on Rotten Tomatoes for reviews.
Well, they're more of the straight to DVD crowd.
I mean, like everything
Yeah.
Gina Carano's been in. since-
Yes,
we
exactly.
don't talk
That's what
about
I'm talking
Gina
about.
Capaccio.
Gina Camacho.
Gina Carpaccio.
Gina Caprese salad. We're going off the rails here. Already. We are weird, but we're a lovable weirdo group. We
Yeah.
are.
But,
we love each
you know,
other.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to
Thank you
things
for
like
calling me
this,
lovable.
I think that one of the best solutions, as Rose Tico so brilliantly put it, is to stop fighting what we hate and start saving what we
And what
love.
we
So let's
love.
talk about what we
Yeah.
love. Let's talk about what we
Yeah.
enjoyed.
I will say this. Molly Damon posted on Twitter, just talking about how like the fan community, like the positive fan community, has been the one have been the ones to like really just encourage her and Alex to keep doing what they're doing and keep
Yes.
going
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
And honestly, like it goes back to the I messaged Molly and Alex and I said, you got to keep in mind, like Lando said, we won because we had each other, and we also won because there were more of us. And remember,
There's always more
there
of
are
us.
more of us.
There
Like,
are more of us.
If
Yeah.
if you like, it may seem like there's an overwhelming number of haters, extremely negative people,
Yeah.
but if you go to literally any con where there's any sort of Star Wars fandom presence, which is pretty much every con in the
Every
Western
con, yeah.
world,
Mm-hmm.
even if people disagree about what movies they like, what shows they like, whatever, it's still overwhelmingly positive. You're all still just so happy because someone built an R2, and that's always cool.
oh, yeah.
You're
Mhm.
still all, you know, even if you disagree on specifics of what you like, what you don't like, you all like something. You all have something to celebrate.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what fandom is for. You're not going to like everything.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
perfect example was, yeah, there's an R2 Builders Club actually, John.
Yep.
There's a
Oh,
huge
yeah.
They're
There's
usually
R2
at
Builders Club. There's
every
a BB unit
Usually.
Builders Club. There's
Yes.
droids, there's all
Yeah.
sorts of
there's
stuff.
Donk Builders. There's Mouse
There's Donk
Droid, which
Builders, there's Mouse Droids.
from what I've heard, Mouse Droids are the easiest to get started with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full
I'm
cast
sure that there's
Narc
going to be a
Star.
string of pips
Oh,
in,
yeah.
like, I give it a month tops
Are there any
before we start
BD
seeing
droids
pips
that
at
have been
cons.
built yet?
Some people are
BBs.
making BD
Oh,
droids.
BDs?
Yeah.
BDs,
So,
yeah.
I saw a really, really good BD that was
Really? Okay.
done with like puppetry.
Mhm.
Oh, cool.
So, the droid handler had like a falconry glove,
Ooh,
and then
okay.
with would have the BD on the glove, and then could like flex his fingers and
Oh, so cool. Okay.
move the droid around.
Happy
It was
Yeah.
really cool.
Oh,
Some
that's
of the
so
things that
cool.
these people do with puppetry, like there was a really amazing puppeted K2SO.
Mhm.
Ooh,
So like
cool.
life size, so huge, taller than a average
Yeah.
person. And it was K2 at the control console,
Oh,
like
nice.
in his last scene.
Mhm.
And like the head would move, the hands would move around. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is a total tangent, but the droid builders, like I want to get into the droid building. That seems
That's
so
so
cool.
cool.
The
It's so
droid
cool.
builders community is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's so amazing what they do.
But going back to like conventions and seeing people just come together to share their fandom, I'll give you two examples. One of them, Matt, you and I, we've been through battle together at Farpoint. We're going to battle again at Shore Leave.
Yep, I'm looking forward to
in
that.
July. Yeah, which we're hanging out that
We
weekend.
are. That's goes without saying.
Oh yeah, but seeing the fans come together to celebrate their fandoms and to celebrate their passions. And yes, while some people did disagree with others about certain science fiction or fantasy properties, there weren't any bad feelings towards each other. There was no negativity towards each other when
Mhm.
it came to those discussions and hanging out and having a good time. Another perfect example is we did Bowie Bay Sox last week for their Star Wars night, and the amount of just everybody coming in and just the joy on people's faces as we were standing there at the front gates like greeting everybody as they were coming in and taking photos and stuff, and people were just so excited for Star Wars. It didn't matter what era you liked or what trilogy you liked or what your favorite movie was. They were all there to celebrate Star Wars. And one of my favorite interactions I got to witness, our friend Liz was dressed as a Tusken Raider.
Mhm.
Actually the chief from Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, cool.
the warrior from Book of Boba Fett.
Hmm.
Um, and this little girl with Down syndrome came walking right up to her and like gave her a high five and held her hand and was just so excited to see a Tusken Raider. And I looked at my wife and I looked at the others around us and I just said, that's what this is all about. Like
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
this is all
exactly.
about. Um, so it doesn't, I mean, to me it doesn't matter
Mhm.
if you like something or not, because that's you. I mean, if you're my friend, of course it matters to me.
Mhm.
But like if you don't like something, that's fine. Just but if you know I like something, just let
Mhm.
me enjoy it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kevin Scott also posted on Instagram the other day about being bullied for enjoying Star Wars and Doctor Who and Star Trek as a kid.
Mhm.
And he
Hmm.
said like he tried to change, but he realized that wasn't him, so he just learned to embrace it. And he pretty much said F the haters because that's what you
Yeah.
have to do.
I
Um
I don't
yeah.
Exactly.
think I don't think people realize just what a privilege it is to have, and I know I've said this before, just
Yeah.
the absolute diversity of Star Wars content today. Because
Yeah.
Eric, I'm sure you were in the same boat as me growing up. When I was a
Hmm.
kid, if I wanted to consume Star Wars content, we had the original trilogy, and
Yeah, and
you know,
and we had the EU, but we didn't really know too much about the EU as
right?
Yeah.
kids. It wasn't until
Yeah.
we got older that we knew
hmm
about the EU. And then
Yeah.
because
you know,
it seems to be an exclusively online phenomenon. Just this wave of vitriol every
oh
time
yeah.
a new piece of sci-fi content comes out,
Oh yeah.
because you're not going to see them at conventions, because nobody that hates a genre is going to go pay real money and devote real time and
No.
real PTO to go see it. But
Right.
Yeah.
it's it's still it's I'm right there with you. It's like you want to just kind of bang your head against the wall and just go, dang it,
Oh,
not again.
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
And
Absolutely.
and like, you know, it, and if you are watching new Star Wars, new Star Trek, new whatever, and you're starting to feel like maybe this just isn't doing it for me anymore, that's totally fine.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
a fandom thing. It can come and go from your life. Like there was a long period of my life where I didn't think about Star Wars at all. Even
Yeah.
while the sequels were coming out, I was like thinking about it right when the movie came out, and then I wouldn't think about it.
Hmm.
Um it comes and goes in
Hmm.
your life, and it's fine if it goes out of your life. There's going to be something else, maybe you'll get really into, I don't know, Baldur's Gate 3.
Or
Maybe you'll
Helldivers
get
2.
really into needlepoint. I don't know.
Mhm.
It- don't You don't have to tie yourself down to one thing and then
No.
feel betrayed by that thing when you suddenly don't like it, even though it
mhm.
hasn't changed, you
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And it's
Exactly.
fine to change. It's fine to not like things, but
Mm.
don't be a
You
jerk
know,
about it.
I think that's a really good point because as a Star Wars fan, like I was born and raised with Star Wars, so I've been a fan since I was really, really tiny all the way
Yeah.
through.
I
And
mean,
as you
we all have.
grow,
Yeah,
you
Star
like
Wars is the
different
first
things.
movie I ever remember watching. Phantom
Yeah.
Menace, specifically.
Yeah, and like for example, I've talked to Eric about this, but I personally did not like Andor. I personally did not. It was not my type of Star Wars,
And
But
that's
that's
fine.
okay. It's one thing I didn't care for, but do I like everything else? Yeah. I mean, the
Hmm.
thing is, everybody is different. Some people are going to grab onto certain things that are, some people's favorite show is going to be The Mandalorian. Some people's favorite show is going to be Ahsoka. Some people's favorite show is going to be,
Yeah.
Andor. It's
My dad's
all
favorite show
about
is Book of Boba Fett.
exactly.
Uh,
So that's the whole thing.
Valid.
Everybody has different likes. So if somebody doesn't like something or that you like, or vice versa, who cares? Move
Yeah.
on. Like this isn't like the thing of
Get over it.
everybody has to like what you like.
One of
Yeah.
the
People can like different things.
Yeah, one of the
What?
things that People are allowed to like things? What?
The
I
world
know.
doesn't revolve around
What is
me.
that? Yeah, what is that?
Then why do I
So-
do this damn show?
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
I'm taking my bow and I'm going to the couch.
So one of the things I wanted to touch on was, a lot of people are freaking out over the concept that, spoilers if you haven't seen it, Osha and May being conceived using some mixture of force magic plus what looked like some archaeotech in the coven proper, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And people are saying, oh well, no, this can't happen ever, blah blah blah. And I think that people are forgetting that it's a big galaxy, and there's been rises and collapses of empires, of great powers, of knowledge of the force, of ignorance of the force. So I mean, there's no saying this galaxy is not big enough that there could have been a holdout cult holding
Yeah.
on to a specific piece of knowledge from a
I
bygone
mean-
age that advanced
Yeah.
it. You
I
know?
mean, look,
Mhm.
we got. I mean, we're gonna steer this back to fandom, but we
Mm.
got the Night Sisters, and we found out that they were from another galaxy.
Yeah, they were from
Mhm.
another galaxy. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
People,
Exactly.
and I think there's this unconscious perception that the Star Wars galaxy has 5 people in it. 4 of them are
Mhm.
Jedi, and they're
Yeah.
one of 3 planets in it is Tatooine.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
it's
But that's what it feels
There
like.
used to be 4
It
planets, but then episode 4 happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What happened in episode 4?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to spoil it for you. I know that the Phantom Menace just came out a couple months ago.
Yeah.
The Phantom Menace did just come out
It
last
did
month.
just come out last month.
all we'll say is that the episode goes out with a bang.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it for me, Matt. I'm gonna
Oh.
message you later and be like, "Damn it, Matt."
But the idea of kind of an uneven progression of knowledge is also precedented in history as well, because
Yeah.
the development of modern steels is
Mhm.
is described as being started in like the 16th century roughly,
Mhm.
or like the start of the industrial era, but in the Second Punic War in, I think it was 2nd century BC.
It was. It was 2nd
Yeah,
century BC. Yep.
you have armies armies of Rome under Scipio, finding Celtiberian swords in Spain, and they're
Yep.
able to bend them over their heads, and they spring back into shape. And
Mhm.
it's just
Yes.
like that's some
Nani?
exactly.
Like-
Not Nani the flip. What? It's it's an example of a pocket of knowledge
Yeah.
that doesn't appear to survive that culture's assimilation
Yeah.
into
Exactly.
Romans, and it doesn't really crop up again until hundreds of years later. I kind of see like the forced conception thing with Osha and May as kind of being in the same spirit,
I get what you're
And
saying too,
yeah.
and like with history, like for example, with history, it also depends on what civilization you're hearing the history from.
Correct.
So, like
Mhm.
for example, if you're going with Chinese history, you're going to hear one different variations of events and cultural revolutions and stuff like that. But then if you go to say French history, you'll learn something different. So if the Star Wars galaxy is like that, every pocket of the Force is going to have some different lore and origins and
Yeah.
everything.
It's like
Yeah.
the sorcerers of Tund can, firebend with the Force, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's you just don't question why someone else doesn't do that, because it's their knowledge, it's their
It's their
thing, it's
knowledge,
their
yeah.
practice. Yeah. And also, like, Star Wars is kind of it's almost explicitly like a mythology, a collection of
Yes.
legends and stories. Not everything has to be entirely literal.
Yeah.
Not everything is.
So, yeah. So I want to share something that our buddy Cam did about
God.
the fan discourse and stuff. I posted this in our Discord server, but I want to share this again for people because this is just really, really funny. So here it is. All right. This is on Twitter. I am going to There we go. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. This is a parody, but this is really funny.
Hey, Star Wars fans, I had a quick message for you all. I've seen a lot of discourse lately regarding Disney, Star Wars, and just everything that's happening lately. I just had a few thoughts that I wanted to share with everybody. It's just been on my mind. I can't even get them together. So I just wanted to get it out there right now while I'm thinking about it. First of all, I'm a bald white man. And if you think that there's even one chance that there's going to be a out from me, yeah, Mom. I'm coming.
And then he jumps on something at the end. But I had to share that because
I
that's
love
how
Cam. I love
ridiculous
him.
this is.
Yeah. Yes.
He's exactly, and Cam is so perfect with that timing because of that video that just came out not too long ago.
Yeah.
And it's just, and he's actually pointing out exactly how they look like. They look like freaking childlike clowns. Like they act
Yeah.
like spoiled rotten preschoolers on the playground.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying not to drag people through the mud, but I just had to share that because, like Vandy said, that's exactly what it feels like. That's exactly what it sounds like. Just let people enjoy this.
It's also
Yeah.
It's also reached a point where it's like, it's become so repetitive that it's like it reaches a point where something has to be said,
Not
Yeah.
just that either. I
Modern
think
Star Wars fan.
the thing is too, no matter what Lucasfilm comes out with, no matter what, anything of Star Wars now is going to cause discourse, and that's what's been going on. Every TV show we've seen has had this reaction since The Last Jedi. So everything released since then. And it's just unfortunately, these people just don't know how to just give up. If you don't like something, don't watch it. Just move on.
Well, it's like the EU is still there if they want to buy the EU books and consume.
They're
content related to that.
re-releasing them.
They're re-releasing the EU books.
Well, there we go.
They're republishing them.
It's
And recording recording audiobooks or re-recording audiobooks.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, like
the content is still there.
And there are some things, sure. I mean, it's perfectly valid to have, critiques about the Disney canon, the EU canon.
I'm
I know,
okay with critiques.
right?
I'm okay with critiques. I'm not okay with racism.
Exactly.
Oh, no, or sexism or homophobia. None of that.
None of that. Yeah.
I know for me personally, I like EU Thrawn better than Canon Thrawn because Canon Thrawn feels like he got a little bit more Saturday morning cartoon villain splashed into his character.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I get it.
But I mean, the thing is, though, is that it still comes back to, being civil and letting people like what they like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've talked about the Thrawn thing before, and I've said, well, check out the newer Thrawn stuff and form your opinion about that. That's all I'm gonna say. All right. Just so the moral of the story is, don't be an angry gumball.
Don't be racist. Don't be homophobic. Don't be a sexist.
Don't be misogynist.
Don't be okay.
All that.
Pardon my language, and if Swagman, if you're watching this, Star Wars admin, if you're watching this, I apologize, but I'm gonna say this right now: don't be a dick.
There you go.
Correct.
Yeah. Let's move on to some happier news now. Star Wars Outlaws was unveiled, or well, more of Star Wars Outlaws was unveiled during the Ubisoft Forward.
Yeah.
Some gameplay, some
Yes. How are we feeling about the next big Star Wars adventure taking place in between episodes 5 and 6 with a brand new scoundrel character?
So, can I go first?
Yeah, Mandy,
go for it.
I'm a diehard gamer, so this is my area. But yeah, I am really so the gameplay reveal. I think was about 15 minutes long. I think, right?
It's about 15. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 15 minutes long. And one thing I really paid attention to, because this is something I really enjoy doing in video games, and oftentimes when I'm in a game that I really like, I like to just walk and explore the world
Mhm.
and see how immersed I am. And that was something I picked up on right away in this game. You are immediately immersed in the Star Wars galaxy, like the walking through the cantina, the walking outside into the little marketplace, heading to the hangar. It just feels like I am going to have so much fun just literally walking through areas and just
Yeah,
experiencing it all.
yeah.
And so that to me is something straight away. They've done an excellent job of world building in
Mhm.
this game.
And they have said that this is going to be open world.
Yes.
Mhm.
So
Ooh,
the
that's gonna be
planets
fun.
Or I
are
guess
going to
as
be
open world as you can get with hyperspace.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I think the maps for each location, because we have 4 planets and a moon, they're
Yeah.
probably going to be a little bit bigger than each map's probably going to be a little bit bigger than the Kobo map from Jedi.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they're going to be bigger than the Kobo map, maybe a little bit bigger, because the Kobo map was quite large.
Oh,
So,
that map was huge.
yeah.
That map was
So,
huge. So was the Jeddah map. The Jeddah
yeah,
map was
Jedi
very
map
big.
too.
Jeddah
Yeah.
was very big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Leah, your thoughts on KVS, Nyx, and ND5?
Um, so so when this was first announced, I was like, oh, cool, yeah, that's like War of the Bounty Hunters era.
Yeah.
That's cool. I really like that storyline. I
Mhm.
like that era. Um, and just kind of passively excited for it. And then, um, at LA Comic Con, I became friends with KVS cosplayer, who made like the whole jacket out of like real leather and had an animatronic Nyx that
Ooh, so
wiggled its
cool.
little head
That's
thingies.
cool.
And I immediately I was like, okay, well now I'm really excited for this game because I
Yeah.
saw someone who's really excited. And now I'm
Mhm.
excited, and it's feedback loop.
Mhm.
Um, and then it popped up that there was even a tangential High Republic mention in the
Yeah.
game, and I was like, yeah, I I was already sold, but now I'm like really sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for it. I
Yeah.
like scum and villainy in Star
Mhm.
Wars.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
And I will say this, Matt, have you looked out Star Wars Outlaws yet?
I've only seen the poster of it,
Okay.
but
Mhm.
I have been having a hankering lately to have a Star Wars video game where I can play as a freighter captain, to the
Mhm.
point where I've almost considered powering up Old Republic again.
Nice. Do
Ooh,
it.
yes.
But
Do it.
Do it. Do it.
but
Yeah.
if Outlaws gives me the ability to do that, I'm in, like, as of yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
do we have any information on whether or not there's going to be ship gameplay yet?
So
Yeah,
yes,
so there
you
is
Yeah, there is ship
ship
gameplay. Yep.
gameplay.
Yes.
It looked like relatively similar to how the flight controls worked in what game was that like?
it kind of looks like they took some of the flight controls from like Starfield,
Yeah, it looks
as
like
well as
Starfield's flight controls, I thought.
Squadrons. It looks
Yeah.
like they took some
I
stuff from
think it
Squadrons.
looked a little closer to Battlefront 2.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
There's
yeah, yeah,
space
yeah.
battles in Battlefront
Mhm.
2. Yeah.
Just because Squadrons was able to completely specialize into being a ship combat game, so
Yeah.
it has to be a little bit more general because you're also walking around. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
like, it looks fun. It looks
Mhm.
good. It looks
Yeah.
great. You
Yeah.
get to punch it and go into hyperspace, which is always a plus.
Oh, that's cool.
John
Have
was
they
asking about open world space battles. They did show like some skirmishes that
some
were happening.
skirmishes? Do we know yet how many planets we're gonna explore yet? Have they announced
So
that yet?
there's 4 confirmed planets with
We're
a
confirmed.
moon.
Okay. Okay.
So you have Tatooine, you have Cantonica, which is
Of
where
course, you have
Canto Bight
Tatooine.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. To prove your point from earlier, Matt.
Yeah, right.
Um, you have Akiva, you have Kajimi, and then you have a brand new moon called Toshara, which they
Okay.
created just for this game. And it's very inspired by the African savannah.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Okay.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Mhm. And you will be able to go pretty much anywhere in these, like in the area, like that these maps are. So Kajimi was the planet that Babu Frick was on in Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, the Spice Runners of Kajimi.
yes,
Yes.
you were a Spice Runner. You were a former Stormtrooper. Um,
If you want to know more about Kajimi, you can read the book. Oh God, what Poe Dameron Freefall.
yeah, by
Yeah,
Alex
Free Fall.
Segura.
Yep.
Yeah, very good book. Very good book.
Yeah. And if you want to know more about Akiva, there's the Aftermath novels.
So I wanted to go back to that when we were talking about the fan thing.
Mm.
And like how we were talking about how, like, some people didn't like Book of Boba Fett and everything.
Yeah.
I personally was not a fan of the Aftermath trilogy, but I will say this. Gave me some of my favorite characters though.
Like
With
Cobb Vanth.
Sinjir Rathvelis, Snap Wexley, Mr. Bones. Like, how can you not love Mr. Bones, the killer battle droid?
Mhm.
Cobb Vanth, yeah. Like,
Cobb
as
Vanth.
soon as I saw that Boba Fett armor show up, in Mandalorian, I was like, that's Cobb Vanth right there. That's not Boba Fett. That's Cobb Vanth. But yeah, so yeah. But if you want to learn more about Akiva, yeah, Aftermath is a great place to go. And I believe there was during that time there was a mobile game that took place like in Akiva too. I think it was called Uprising,
I thought Uprising was in
or it was in that sector of space.
I think it was in a different sector.
Oh.
It was in the sector where
Oh, it's where
Bespin is.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Outlaws looks incredible. It looks Uprising was a mobile game that they canceled like
Anowat.
Yeah, a long time ago that was up.
Yeah. I think it lasted maybe a year.
Maybe, yeah.
And it's funny because it introduced characters who have since appeared again, but you can't get the rest of their story anymore because the game doesn't exist.
Yeah.
No.
Shout out to Deathstick.
But yeah, War of the Bounty Hunters and Outlaws. I mean, it's during that era. It's really
during that era. We know that like there's character crossovers.
We also know
and
there's a lot of different crime organizations and crime
so I think this
too.
would technically not be the War of the Bounty Hunters. This would be the Syndicate War.
Yeah, the Syndicate War or something.
Which was immediately following the War of the Bounty Hunters.
That's right. Yeah. This is that Crimson Reign era.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the
so Crimson Dawn is back on the scene. Crimson Dawn is trying to get everything together.
Yeah, we saw
and they're also intentionally seeding more chaos, which is very much what K-Vest seems to be an agent of. Crimson Reign is a comic crossover from a couple years ago. Centered on Crimson Dawn after it has resurged onto the forefront of the galactic underworld, after they have stolen the frozen Han Solo and then auctioned him off, and then he got stolen by the Empire, and then he got stolen again by Boba Fett, who returned him to Jabba. It was a whole convoluted thing.
It was. It really was.
Yeah. Yes.
So
right in between War of the Bounty Hunters and Hidden Empire is the Crimson Reign, when when the Crimson Dawn was conglomerating.
Both. Yeah, they're all great stories. Which I really want an omnibus of just all three of those events together. I know we have a War of the Bounty Hunters omnibus, but like I want all three of those events like in one massive omnibus.
They all kind of go together anyway, so that would make sense to have it.
I mean, Charles wrote it as a trilogy.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's move on here. We're going to be talking non-spoiler, Leah, non-spoiler,
Okay.
about the massive romance novel that came out on Tuesday, Temptation of the Force, which I wouldn't really call it. I mean, it is a romance novel,
But
but
it's I think Tessa Gratton put it really well in a newsletter that it's about love of
it is.
different kinds
Yes.
and
But
lack thereof.
I will say this, that action sequence in the middle of the book is breathtaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, just kiss already. So much tension. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, this is the second adult novel in phase 3 of the High Republic, and we finally get Avar and Elzar together, back on
Together
Coruscant.
again.
Yes.
It's good.
And I love their back and forth. Their back and forth is so good. And I
We
missed it
have
so much.
so we haven't had the two of them in a room together in a book since Light of the Jedi.
Yeah, and it was on Naboo. It
Yeah,
was on
we
Naboo
haven't
and
seen
then
them
on the
together
Beacon.
for so long.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of them in one issue of Shadows of Starlight
Yeah.
for like the first 4 pages, and then they were separated again.
That's when Avar went deuces.
And that's right. We did get a moment of them together at the end of Fallen Star, but they had other things on their mind.
Yes,
Basically, they've had a really rough 3 years.
they have. They have.
Actually, it's because it was a year from
It's about
hyperspace
4
disaster to
years.
Valo, and then like a little more than half a year until the fall, and then another year. So it's 2.5 years to the start of phase 3, and then they said it was another like half a year since then. So
Yeah.
yeah, three
So
years,
yeah, about 3 years, 3.5 years.
three and a
Yeah.
half years.
Yeah. And they were separated for a year because of the storm wall, which is bordering the Nile occlusion zone, um, which we'll get into all of that later when we talk spoilers for it. But this book, man, I love it. I love this book. It's perfect. And also I get more Bell and Burry, and I didn't know I needed more of that until like they showed up in this book. Also, Leah,
Yes.
I called the beginning of that book. I called the beginning of that book. I said that person was coming back. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. Um that is, I mean, I don't think I can go further without spoiling it. All we know is that they're trying to get into the occlusion zone to stop the Nihil. That's all I'm going to say. Um, all right, shall we move on to the thing that's pissing everybody off?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Let's get to it.
Or do we want to talk about Star Wars Hunters, which is the arena shooter?
I
Uh-huh.
don't know how much there is to talk about Hunters that we
Play
haven't talked about on here before. It's fun.
Yeah,
I'm
it's fun.
enjoying it.
Play it.
I hit Erodium 1. I'm doing
Nice.
all right.
I still have yet to go ranked. I've been
Ranked is
busy.
fun, except when you get matched with a team that doesn't know how the game that you're playing works.
What? There's people that don't know the game?
There's people who seem very confused when the control point moves in dynamic control. You've got to anticipate the control point moving. You send someone there at the start
Yeah.
of the countdown. You lock it down with a second person right as the old one expires. You get the whole team there. By the time that it opens up, boom, you get the bonus for being an early bird, and you're locked down on there, ready to defend your position. You get your supports just healing. Strategy.
I haven't played it yet personally, but
How dare you?
I know, right? But I found a very interesting kind of like I don't know if it's sanctioned by like LucasArts and Disney because it feels kind of like very third party-ish, but it's basically it's a Star Wars game called X-Wing Flight. And
Oh, similar to like Squadrons, X-Wing versus TIE
yeah,
Fighter. Yeah,
yeah, and I just started playing that today, and honestly, it's fun.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. Oh, I meant to ask you, did you get that Battlefront collection? Because we had talked about like you possibly
No,
getting
I
that.
didn't.
No.
I've been, you know,
Yeah.
been.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you did watch the Bad Batch, so
I
you
did.
know that's good.
Bad
Um,
Bad Batch. Oh, it was so good.
I
So
think about
good.
that every day. I think about that
Mm-hmm.
show every day.
Seriously.
Um, all right, so let's move on to the thing that's pissing people off. Acolyte episode 3 happened, and we did not get any present day content. This
No.
was an entire flashback episode,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was brilliantly handled, absolutely
Yes.
brilliantly handled. And this is going to be a spoiler discussion on this. So if you've not seen it and you don't want it ruined for you, leave. Yeah, exactly. Cover your ears, honey. Yeah. Um, I think you all heard that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so this is your spoiler warning. We are going to be talking some spoilers here. Better than the Book of Boba Fett. Look, if that's how you feel, that's
That's
fine.
like your opinion, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Mandy and I have varying different opinions on a lot of Star Wars things.
We do. Yes, we
Yeah, I
do.
mean, we there was the night that John was doing the ranked list, and I was like, "Screw Darth Vader! I don't think he's that great."
Yeah. Yeah. That turned
But
into a
Eric, he's
Darth
got a cool
Vader.
helmet.
Yeah, I know he's got a cool helmet, but you know who also has a cool helmet? Embo has a cool helmet.
Darth
That is
Vader's
a
helmet's
hat,
cooler,
not a
though.
helmet.
Darth
I
Vader's
thought
helmet is cooler
I thought we were
than
about
Embo.
to make
Yeah.
a Spaceballs reference and say that Dark Helmet also had a cool
I
helmet
mean,
too.
Dark Helmet does have a
Dark
pretty
Helmet
cool
has
helmet.
the best helmet of them all.
He
Let's
really
be honest.
does. Yeah.
He
Because
really does.
remember, evil will always triumph because good
good is
dumb.
dumb.
I love that movie so
I love
much.
that movie so much.
Oh god, evil will always triumph because good
Good
is dumb.
Shout out to my the older brother of one of my friends in elementary school who introduced us to that movie probably way too young.
Oh my god, yes.
Shout out to you, Jack.
I mean, honestly, you could not make that movie today.
You
It would
went
piss
over
off
my
so
head.
many people.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh,
there
it
was a
would.
woman in a leading role that would piss
I
people
know,
off.
That would piss
I
people
know.
off,
I'm
yeah.
so sorry. I'm so
Oh,
sorry
don't
that
forget
there
the
was
female
not.
droid. That would really
Yeah,
piss
there
them
was a
off.
female
The female
droid.
They would have a
And
meltdown.
The Dot Matrix, who
Yeah.
Dot Matrix.
you know J6, Avon
Yeah.
Staros'
Oh yeah,
droid.
yeah.
That's Dot Matrix, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
She even has the parasol.
Oh, and
Like,
she
come
has the
on.
attitude of a Joan Rivers.
Does she have the virgin alarm though?
I don't know if Avon is adding. I guess we'll have to see.
Speaking of virgins, the Acolyte happened.
Not to get too into it, but I highly doubt that they were virgins. But
Oh
that's
no,
a beside
no.
the point.
I just had to. I had to try to segue.
Yeah.
No, but this to quote Stefan from Weekend Update, this show had everything.
Yes.
It's
had
got
Jenna,
everything. Force switches.
lesbians.
Force switches. lesbians, family drama,
Fires
Twins.
who may or may not have been started by a little girl.
and a possessed Jedi Padawan.
Yes.
What's a possessed Jedi Padawan? You know that
It's
thing?
that thing where the Padawan's eyes go all black and he collapses to his knees, and then later in the episode he's got a random scar and it's not
Yeah.
explained how he got it. You know, Corbin,
Eric
Anakin,
.exe has crashed.
they are
immediately
the
rebooted.
unexplained eye scar club.
They are.
The unexplained eye scar.
Oh my
I'm
God.
sure we will get an explanation at some
I'm
point.
sure we
I'm
will.
sure we will.
Oh,
yes.
it's probably
I
gonna
am
be like
definitely
the
gonna
Nick
get it.
Fury
Look,
thing where a cat just
it's-
scratched his eye.
Oh, the scratch.
This episode is where we're making good on Headland saying that like Rashomon was one of the things that
Oh yeah, totally.
inspired this.
Mhm.
Great movie if you haven't seen it.
Last Jedi.
Um,
video.
Yeah, same. Acolyte seems to be doing a lot of the thing where it like kind of goes back to what inspired other Star Wars, and
Yeah.
then taking inspiration
Very
from
much
that,
so.
so it
Mhm.
ends up in the same place, but like
And I'm also
it's a little different.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm also going to reiterate what I said at the start of the video, that this kind of reclusive coven that's been around for God knows how long, that
Oh yeah.
has closely guarded ancient secrets that include advancements in archaeotech and an understanding of the Force that allow them to create life through the Force. I don't think is really all that lore breaking.
It
at all,
really isn't.
you know?
It really
Yeah.
isn't.
Mhm.
So I think we should just start with the reveal then, and then
Mm.
kind of work our way through there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we find out that May and Osha were conceived not by the Force, but using like Force magic,
No, Force magic. Yeah.
as well as what Matt said with the Archaeotech. So yeah, it's really not that canon breaking.
Not
Because
at all. No.
They aren't even the
It's
first
not.
children
No.
made using Force magic
No,
by
they're not.
witches
They're
in
not at
Star
all.
Wars.
No.
No.
Oh no.
And
Shout
Anakin
out
was
to
made.
Ian Convery for
Yeah.
that one.
And I don't know
That
why
we know
people
of.
think it's canon breaking anyway, because Anakin was formed by the Force on its own, not
Well,
using,
I mean, there's the Darth Vader run that Charles Soule wrote, where they actually have that. They have the reveal that Palpatine was manipulating the Force in a way. In a
He
way,
manipulating Vader into thinking that he manipulated
I
the
think.
See, I always thought he was
I mean, that's a good
manipulating
question.
Vader into thinking that, because he was
He-
such a manipulator. So
Manipulating
is.
Vader into thinking that he was
I
manipulating
think
Vader over the
trusting
manipulation.
Palpatine
Yeah.
is always the wrong choice.
I
Yeah,
shouldn't
you can
trust a
never
guy
trust
named
Palpatine.
Sheev.
Yeah.
You mean
No.
believe in Sheev is a bad catchphrase?
Yeah.
Believe in
I
Sheev would
believe in
be a
Sheev.
like I feel like if there were believe in Sheev like campaign buttons,
Is that like
people
believe
would
in
a great
God will be
ironically
dead?
propaganda
wear
poster.
them like the Richard Nixon "I'm with Dick" or "I like Dick"
I like
button.
Dick. I like Dick.
Like
I'm with
like you're kind of edgy. You're kind of edgy kids in the New Republic would wear the like believe in Sheev button.
Yeah.
Just to get a rise out of older people.
Yeah.
He's got great ideas, man. He's got great ideas.
He was not a crook.
He was not a
He
crook.
was set up by Vader.
He was set up by Vader. That guy wasn't a Sith. He was an honest politician.
Hashtag not my
Hey
chancellor.
man, he was misunderstood, okay?
Yeah. He was
Hashtag not my chancellor. Anyway, back to the Force conception.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this isn't the first time, and this is
No.
certainly not going to be the last time that we see this, because I just feel like when you really sit down and you look at it, Plagueis was trying to create life. Even Palpatine said that Plagueis
Yes.
was so powerful in the Force that he found a
could
way to
create-
create life.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And to stop people from dying too, he
Yeah.
says. So
Exactly, but he couldn't stop himself.
he couldn't stop himself. Yeah.
And
It stops you from
even
dying unless
yeah.
you get shanked by your apprentice, and in which
Yeah.
case,
Right.
Well,
you're
and
the way
like
he got
alive.
shanked.
it's been established multiple times that like these different witch groups, they have access to powers that Palpatine and presumably other Sith before him want, because they
Oh
don't
yeah.
have.
They
They
don't have it.
see,
Yeah.
he sees them like raising armies of the dead and stuff, and he's like, I want that. And they're like, we are not going to teach you that. And he's like, I am going to kill all of you.
And that's exactly what Palpatine did. He killed all the Night Sisters.
Yeah.
Because they were.
Well,
a threat.
I mean, he did. Yeah, he essentially wiped out the Night Sisters. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like, you can count the number of Night Sisters who we know survived on one hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Deathstick, Marin, Morgan.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Morgan.
it.
I can't think of any other Night Sisters that we know survived.
Well, Asajj technically.
Yeah, Saj.
She did die, so I'm not counting her as surviving.
Well,
okay.
yeah, she died.
She got better, but she did
better.
die.
Yeah, she did die. That's
Is
true.
that like the guy from Mighty Python? I got better.
Exactly.
I'm not actually dead.
I'm not dead yet. I'm feeling a little better.
I think I'll be okay.
I feel like taking a walk. Yeah. Yeah, the ones on the mountain in Tales of the Empire, but yeah, they got shafted too.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is that
And those weren't Night Sisters. Those were different.
There's so many different like Force cults, I'll call them, like Force cults, and that's what these witches kind of are. They're like a Force cult, and there's so many different ones that they're gonna have powers that not necessarily the Jedi or Sith have.
The High Republic Phase 2 explores that.
Yeah,
with
Full
the
of
stuff
them.
on Jeddah. I mean, with the
Phase
stuff
3,
on
we're
Jeddah.
getting a little of that too with the Children of the Storm.
Right. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
God, Matt, you're so close. You're so close. Soon, yes. Yes. But yeah, like, and I don't think it's canon breaking. I really don't think it's canon breaking.
It's not.
Especially since there's so many identities of the Force as well.
That, and it doesn't take away how special Anakin Skywalker is. It really doesn't.
No,
take
it
away
doesn't.
that.
It doesn't at all. No.
It's also, and I'm going to risk kind of bringing the modern world into this a little bit. It's also,
how dare you?
I know, right? The thing that I find especially fascinating about the Acolyte is that I don't know if they meant to do this, but they also kind of touch on a developing social, I don't know if trope, archetype is the right word, of so like Osha, for example, right? Is Osha and May are born into, what in ye olden days would be considered kind of an alternative family structure, right? And Osha is very interested in this, in the Jedi, which, from the outset seem very suffocating, seem very restrictive.
Yeah.
There is a parallel in modern, in modern society today, of children growing up in, in queer families and poly families, developing an interest in religious expression. And
I see it.
Someone's
I've
always
seen
going to want something that,
exactly, something. It's sort of like the expression that you didn't grow up with is always going to be fascinating because it's something that's new and different,
Yeah.
And it's something that I've seen personally with a friend of mine, and she has a kid that's actually going through this exact thing right now, and I think it's sci-fi has always had, in my opinion, a very good thumb on the pulse of the culture, right?
Oh,
And
no, it always
they're often drawing parallels in their stories long before it's even common knowledge, and I think that's really cool.
I mean, fantasy does it all the time too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
but yeah. yeah, it's really interesting. It goes back to what we were saying earlier with pissed off fans, where um, a lot of people are enjoying this because they are seeing themselves in these characters. They are seeing themselves represented with these characters.
Yeah.
And honestly, you couldn't do this show without any of that. You
Mhm.
really couldn't. I think that this show, if you didn't have the representation that you have, it would make for a very boring show.
Agreed.
I think it
Yeah,
would be a
very much
very
so.
boring show.
Mhm.
Um, because you're getting to see people as they are, like as they are in the world. And I said that earlier, where um, I love that we're seeing people from different races and different gender identities and sexual orientations and all of that, because that's where we are as a society. That's what the world is. And for somebody to say that that's not how the world works, that's just bullshit. Um, so we have May and Osha, who are the direct opposites of each other. You've got one that's craving adventure, but also their own freedom. And then you've got one that is trying to, uh, you know, just do what she's told because that's
Follow the
all she
traditions.
knows. Um,
Right.
Mhm.
so what did Leah? I want to talk to you, or I want to ask you this about May and Osha. Um, do you think they handled that very well?
I think they felt like obviously, as Mother Coral said, they're not normal children, but in a lot of ways they acted very normally
Oh yeah,
for
yeah,
identical twins. It like the tension of one of them really wanting to be like, no, but like we are so similar, and the other being like, we are not similar, we are very different. um and even down to how the two times that we've heard it, May's always the one to start and kind of push the um
oh
always one but born as two
Two. Yeah.
rhyme. Because Osha wants her own identity, and that is a very real thing for twins. And May wants to stick to this really close twin relationship. Like, people say it's the closest relationship you can have to another person.
yeah, yeah.
And that's also super real, super justified.
Hmm.
And I think that that is a very, like, even outside of they are literal manifestations of force made physical and blah 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 magic. um it just feels like a very natural conflict to
Yeah,
have.
it does.
Mhm.
I'm an only child, really. In my life, I'm an only child, so like I don't know what it's like to have that person like so close to
Yeah,
you. I don't know what it's like to have a twin.
yeah.
So
And I mean, I don't have firsthand experience of being a twin, but multiples run in my
yeah, yeah,
family, so I've seen it in my cousins.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, I've got we've got friends that are twins, and I'm just like, how do you guys like do your own thing? How do you do your own
Yeah,
individual things? And they essentially said, you make it work.
you make it work.
You
Mhm.
yeah,
And
you make it work.
like I've had friends who were twins and cousins who are twins, and it runs the gamut. You have twins where it's like they are completely in sync. It's like they're telepathic. It's almost freaky when you see, like, if they, God forbid, get the same haircut. It's like, wow, I am seeing double.
Oh
But
yeah,
then there's other twins where even if they're identical twins, it's like these are two completely different people. You might as well not even be related.
yeah.
Mhm.
I thought one of the brilliant things when it came to identifying which one was which, uh, came during the ascension ceremony,
Mm,
and how
Mhm.
you have them walking up to the mothers, and you have May front and center, just like, confident and striding and all this
Yeah.
other stuff, and then you have Osha holding back, and
Mhm.
I thought it was brilliantly done the way that they
Yeah.
that they told that part of the story.
And I mean, shout out to those two young actresses, because
Oh yeah,
they did a very good job of keeping the characterizations of the two characters very distinct while still feeling like not caricatures of
oh
the
yeah,
characterization, if that makes sense. Because it's
Were
very
the
easy when you're
actresses
trying.
actually
Yeah,
twins?
yeah, they're actual
yeah,
twins.
They
yeah.
are actual twins. Okay. So it
But
wasn't
they
just one
look so
actress
much like
playing
Amandla.
2 roles.
Yeah, so this was so older Mayanosha is one actress, one actor, 2 roles. Younger Mayanosha is 2 actresses.
Oh, 2 actresses.
Because
Okay, 1 role. Yeah.
because child actors, you can't have them on set for as long, so it's
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
easier to have twins, to have
Twins.
actual
Yeah.
twins.
And twins.
Um,
Thank
and also they're on scene together more often, so this means like
Yeah.
less editing
They can
later.
Right.
But yeah, they did a great job of like making sure that the characters were distinct
Yeah.
and like identifiable from each other. There was
Yeah.
that much hated what could charitably be called a review before the show came out. And one of the complaints that it had, along with Lee Jung Jae's accent and
He's amazing in
Charlie
this.
Barnett's
He is
hair,
amazing.
neither of which I think are valid criticisms.
No.
Right.
Both of which I think may be racially influenced criticisms.
What?
Yeah.
What? Not liking a Korean guy's accent is questionable. Whatever. But one of the complaints was that the 2 young actresses you couldn't tell which character was which. I think you very much could.
Oh no,
Yeah.
you could.
I
And,
agree.
and it was
Yeah.
all
You
about
could
body
definitely tell which
language.
one was which. Body language
Mhm.
gave it away perfectly.
Body language, the way that they spoke.
John.
Yes.
Anyone who insults
So-
JJ is a nerf herder. You're so right. Except he didn't say nerf herder.
No, he didn't say
Um,
nerf herder.
Anyway, so we meet May and Osha, and they are the only children in this area of Brendok. Um, that's the name of the planet, right? Brendok.
Brendock, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they're the only children there. They are with this coven, which we still don't have a name for the coven yet, and I think that might be revealed soon.
Right.
Hmm.
They have they have 2 mothers. Mother, oh god, Anasea, Mother Anasea,
Mother
and then
Anasea
Mother
and Coral.
yeah.
Coral.
Which I got to tell you, seeing a Zabrak in live action outside of Darth Maul was
Was
beautiful.
awesome. It was
Yeah.
amazing. The makeup for her. I was like, oh,
Yes.
so cool to see another
And
one.
she's an amazing character too, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, Coral
Yeah.
is so good.
Coral is so good.
And
Also, space
yeah.
lesbians.
We love him.
God, no, we don't. No,
No, we don't.
please do not take anything like that seriously that I say, because God,
Eric,
I'm
we're
gonna
throwing you in a Starlight pit.
We are. Yep.
fine.
The lesbians are throwing you in. The space lesbians are throwing you in the Starlight pit.
They're throwing you in with the power of one, the power of 2, the power of many.
Oh my God. Why? Okay, I will say this about that. I did laugh when I did hear that chant at first, but it does make sense to what they're doing with the story.
It's
Sure.
Yeah.
That's also very witch in general.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The cultural conception of witches is
Yeah.
very tied up in the idea of covens, of communities, of groups of
Yeah.
witches working together for something.
It was
Mhm.
just really
Um,
funny. You'll be okay, Eric.
Yeah.
Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc pit, so you have a chance. Just as long as Patton Oswalt narrates it for
Yeah.
me.
I could see a comedic thing of like you get out of the Sarlacc pit and then the Dune theme starts playing.
Yeah.
You know, you hear that
I just start beating the sand.
out of the
sure to walk
Sarlacc
without
and into
rhythm.
Shai Hulud.
Yes. I'm the Libsyn Outgaib. Anyway, which, like I said, I did laugh at first because of like the way that they were chanting it, and then I was like, oh wait, witches, I get it.
Yeah.
It was really funny because Mandy, John, and I watched this in the Discord server,
Yeah.
and like when the one witch started cackling, Mandy's like,
The
"What the hell
cackling?
is that?"
Yeah, you were like, what the hell is
She's like, "Who's laughing? Eric, is that you laughing?" I was like, "No, I could not throw my voice like that." So, but anyway, so they're part of this coven. They're at Brendok, and we find out that May and Osha may or may not be being watched by a Jedi.
Mhm.
They arrive at their coven. The laugh shook me. Yeah, it is a pretty shaking laugh. They arrive at their coven, and that's when we start to see the differing of opinions between. That's where we really start to see the differing of opinions with May and Osha. Plus, we're given another great Star Wars treat: spice creams. Who doesn't want to make some spice creams now?
Spice creams, yes.
I was confused about that because isn't spice drugs in the Star Wars universe?
Yes.
I'm sure that they also have mentioned spices like
They have.
normal spices.
Okay.
They
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's fair.
Let me see here. I think there is actually a recipe for the spice.
There is a recipe for the spice creams. And a couple people have pointed out we may have actually seen the spice creams before.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
When Chimere was walking back to the apothecary and he's eating something, it is the same color and size
Okay.
That's
and
right.
shape of the spice creams.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at
Or
the
it could just be the fact that Star Wars loves blue food, you know?
Yeah.
but this is actually green.
Yeah, it's like
Blue green. Blue milk, green milk, you know?
Oh,
Green
God,
milk.
hashtag
Maybe it's
green
made
milk.
out of green milk. Yeah.
Potato, you know?
Yes. Nicely done. Hashtag green milk. I'm team green milk all the way. Anyway.
And I didn't actually notice it. The person who I saw who noticed it was
Was it blue
why
milk?
why do Tumblr users have to always have the most username ever? At Shaking with Gayness on Tumblr.
Shaking with gayness. Perfect name.
Not
for
Tell me you're
not-
from Tumblr without saying you're from Tumblr.
Yeah.
not slightly quivering with it. We're legit shaking.
Yeah. I'm looking in
Which
the
is
Acolyte tag, and right next to Shaking with Gayness, we have Tremendous Koala Child. You know, just
Tremendous koala child.
and then
That's gonna be my new
Lumpawaru
wrestling
Space
name.
Princess. You know, like
What was
Gotta
it?
love.
Lumpawaru Space Princess.
Yeah,
Gotta love
yeah.
Tumblr.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. God. We got to come up with nicknames now for each other. Like,
Yeah.
I use the same one everywhere. So
I know.
you can call me Buckets of Mud. You already have Buckets
do
of
call
Mud
you
for me.
Buckets of mud.
Buckets of Mud!
Buckets of mud. Matt, you're just Matt.
Yeah.
But that's
Or Matt.
okay. That's okay.
You know, so I have a doormat that says "Hi, I'm Matt" in front of my front door. And it's smelling
Perfect.
empty.
Mandy, you're just Mandy, and that's
Yeah,
okay.
I can't think of anything.
It's
Yeah,
okay. It's
cool.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, so we start to see like really the schisms forming in the coven too, because while Mother Anastasia is trying to teach this lesson about the thread and the force, which I thought was awesome. I love that
Yeah.
lesson so much.
Shout out
Um
to Gavi.
yeah. Um
For context, Gavi is a Jedi youngling who sees the Force as a thread as well.
Yes.
That's true. I will be right back. You guys keep talking real quick, and I will be right back. I got to get some more water real quick. So
Go for it.
you guys
Water's
keep
Salad.
important.
talking. I'll be right
Hydrate or dihydrate, as they
Yeah,
say.
Hydrate or
exactly.
dehydrate.
Exactly. I quit the
Um,
show. I quit. Be back in like 2 minutes.
but yeah, like we see, I mean, right from the start, we kind of see the very realistic, like parenting style tension between
Yes,
Anastasia and
between the
Coral, which I
two.
thought was
Yes.
great. I love that.
It's yeah. One
Very
wants to be
real.
stricter, one doesn't. So you get that whole very much in every parent structure you get that always.
Incredibly realistic.
Yes.
But we also see like later on we see kind of how some of the members of the coven are like we can't let them be tested. We can't let any of this
Yeah.
this shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Mhm.
We should just kill these Jedi. And
Yeah.
then we see the other ones who are like, we should let them be tested, maybe try to, make sure that they don't get
They don't pass the
selected, but
test.
like
Yeah. Mhm.
we can't just refute
Forbid
the
them.
Jedi.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
can't just forbid them. Like, yeah,
Yeah, because there's some of
um,
them that doesn't want trouble with the Jedi. There's some of
Right.
them that are like, yeah, we don't want to get into violence or trouble or because they've already been on the run from the Jedi anyway, which we heard about. They mentioned,
well, they've been on the run. I don't remember if they specifically mentioned from the Jedi, but presumably the Jedi were involved.
probably the Jedi were involved.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm curious because, as was mentioned, like earlier in the High Republic, there was no problem with there being these other Force religious groups,
Yes.
even ones who were suspected of using the dark side, even ones who were
Yes.
suspected of using the dark side and trained children.
Yes.
How far back
Um,
are we going though from BB-1?
100 years before this, which that's
100
plenty of
years.
time for things to change.
But then again,
Yeah,
we could
true,
be getting
true.
a new Jedi doctrine coming in, which could help with that.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
But Yoda
'cause-
is still the Jedi Master though, or the
Yeah,
He's not
Yoda's
this.
so he comes and goes as like Grandmaster. He's not always the
Yeah.
Grandmaster.
He's
he
not
he
always the
steps back.
Grandmaster.
He'll be a teacher for a while.
Oh, we
He'll
talking about
disappear
yogurt?
for
Yes.
for a year and a half for no reason.
And then show up Gandalf style.
And then show up
and show up
Gandalf style.
Gandalf
Yeah.
style.
exactly
And show
when
up
he
Gandalf
needs
style
to.
to say like, retreat from the outer rim. We must abandon the people of the rim. We shall.
Yeah.
He does have that pretty badass moment in Midnight Horizon though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look, he has his moments. I think
does.
I think I can speak for a lot of High Republic fans when I say Yoda is a much better teacher than he is a leader.
Oh,
He is very
without a
much so.
doubt.
He is a way better teacher. Yeah.
Although
He's like the best kindergarten teacher in a whole school district who has been
Mhm.
promoted to superintendent, even though that is not his skill set. His skill
Yeah.
set is dealing with 5-year-olds, not
Mhm.
dealing with 45-year-old school administrators.
Yes.
Like Super Nintendo Chalmers.
although the way he just straight up disrespects Ventress in Clone Wars is still glorious though.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Oh yes.
Yoda has these moments in the High Republic where he does the same thing, where he's just like, yeah, no, like you're no, yeah, no. But Yoda is also, and I'm gonna say this right now, Yoda is the cause of a lot of problems in the Star Wars galaxy because he's
Yes.
always
And
covering
if not the cause,
crap.
at least a catalyst.
He's always
Yes.
covering stuff up. Yep.
Yep, John, you hit the nail on the head. Yoda, the cover-up master, and he is.
He
You know,
is.
if you think about it, the last thing that he ever does is cover up. You know, pull the blanket up.
Yeah, he pulls the
sorry,
blanket up.
that was
That is
bad.
a Matt level pun right there.
But also, kind of the last thing that he does is like unveiling a cover up, where he's like,
Yeah.
"There is
Yes.
another Skywalker."
And again, it was another cover up that he made. So
Yeah.
Great.
I mean,
Is
the biggest one
yet
though.
another cover up.
Yeah,
yes.
the biggest one though is still the Nameless.
Yes.
They're these creatures in the High Republic, Matt, that that pretty much feed on the Force and can like pretty much like turn beings into husks.
Ooh.
Like the Y salami, but more aggressive.
Are
I
they?
refuse to pronounce their name correctly.
Yeah.
Are these like the creatures that can sometimes be encountered when traveling through hyperspace?
No, those are Pergu.
No.
Yeah.
These are they're more
do
like really big dogs with
think pissed off versions of the dog from the Sandlot.
think a really feral four-legged Cthulhu.
That's
Actually,
a good.
that's
That's a
better.
good one. That's a better
Yeah,
description.
yeah, Cthulhu Fatagan.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's frightening.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
They're
But
just
Yoda,
they're just hungry puppies, you know.
but Yoda does a lot of those cover-ups.
He does. Yes.
He does.
And a lot of people have asked, like, is Yoda going to show up in the show? I honestly, I hope he doesn't, because
I don't think he will. I really don't. I think he could be off
Probably
with
on another
younglings again.
sabbatical.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's on
putting more
Tanu.
kids through
Yeah.
he's putting more kids through the ringer on the new version of the Star Hopper.
Yes. He is.
Yeah. No, Nubs is now training people on Tanu.
He's
Yeah.
handing another lightsaber to a little kid at a Jedi temple and lying and saying that it was his training lightsaber when he was
Yes.
a young
Exactly.
lady.
Poor Kai Brightstar.
I do think that Kai's is the real one. I also think
Yeah.
that Kai's probably going to give it back to him when he.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. He is. Especially
Actually,
once
that would be an episode I would like to see.
Oh, because
Kai
it would
giving Yoda's lightsaber back to him.
it would kind of
Yeah.
be like the shield being passed on from Salandra to Rupert.
Oh.
Did somebody say shield? No, I'm kidding.
No, so I mean, you would love this though, Matt. There's a character in Phase 2 that has a shield,
Mhm.
and
It's
she uses
Jedi
it
with a
more
shield.
than her lightsabers.
Yep.
I've heard of this. It's
Yeah.
it's a lightsaber resistant material. I forget the name of it.
Yeah.
It's not Beskar, but
Yeah.
it's something else.
Yeah, it's
Um,
close to Beskar. Yeah.
Because
I don't.
Best guy.
Yeah.
there's a Sith Lord that also used a
Yeah, there's been a
shield.
couple characters who it's been mentioned that they've
Who
had
was
shields,
it?
but she's the one who's been like most prominent.
Yeah.
Most prominent.
Yeah, Cilantro Show, she's great.
Yeah, she is. So Yoda, I don't think is showing up.
No.
Yeah, he's on
Darth
sabbatical.
Sidious.
He's
He's on sabbatical.
would-
Yeah.
He would be the one kind of involved in this, being like, "You shut your faces."
He
probably
yeah,
saw this
maybe-
coming, and
maybe
that's why he went
does
on
show
sabbatical.
up at the end, and he covers it all up. Like,
Is Yoda
he
gonna
shows
be
up at the end.
new-
He's like, "Meet a Sith Lord, did you? No, you did not."
no, you did not.
is Yoda gonna be the new is Yoda gonna be the new Pong Krell that we just love to hate?
Yoda shows up at the end of the
You
Acolyte and
still
goes,
like Yoda?
"At this you must look."
Yes.
he's got the memory flash thingy.
He's
from
got the
the-
memory flashlight.
Look, Ymir said, like, "Please don't wipe my memory." Chekhov's memory wipe.
Yeah.
you just see Soul and Yord and Jackie just put on the sunglasses.
Glasses.
And then Yord's like, "So you saw some swamp gas."
Yeah.
that came in from Dantooine. Uh, here we haven't even
Swamp
talked.
gas from Dantooine in this part of the galaxy at this time of year, completely localized to this.
And then Chimere's like, "Yep, I believe it.
Can I see it?
I see it. Are you trying to make Pickle appear before bed? There he
Oh,
is.
there's Pickle. Hi,
There he
Pickle.
is.
Hey.
Yes.
Pickle.
Hi, buddy. Hello. Anyway, so anyway, did you put him up there?
Yep.
There he
There's
is.
Pickle.
There
Yay,
he
Pickle.
is.
Looking all dignified.
Yes.
He's very dignified. He's a
Yeah.
distinguished gentleman.
Hmm.
Yeah, he
He
likes
is.
he likes the High Republic too.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course he would. Yes.
What does that supposed to mean? Of course, he likes the High Republic.
Well, you know, he's probably been born into it.
He's crazy right now. But yeah, so welcome to the show. For the rest of the stream, we're just gonna watch Pickle bathe himself.
Such a good job.
This
of
is
it.
the new
Yeah.
Yule log. It's just gonna
Yeah.
be
Tis,
Pickle.
tis quite the pickle.
Hi Pickle, I love him already. Yes.
No.
What's not to love about that guy back there?
Mm.
You have fans.
He probably knows it already. I mean, he's a cat. He probably thinks he's a god already.
He's a jerk.
I don't
He's a
think
jerk.
cats ever stop thinking that they're gods. They got worshipped once, 3,000 years ago, and they never let it go.
They never forgot it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a jerk. But I love him anyway. Anyway, so let's get to the oh Lord, there's a fire.
Oh, it's fine.
Let's get to that bit. But before we get there, we do have to talk about the Jedi test that
Yes.
we
Yes.
have. But before we get to that, we have to talk about how the Jedi crashed the party
They do.
when it comes
Yeah.
to the Ascension ceremony. And I love the way that they paint the Jedi as not these heroes, but as kind of the bad guys.
Instigators, definitely instigators. You know,
Yeah.
like they're the ones actually causing trouble. Like the
Mhm.
witches aren't. They're just doing their own little ceremony, their own little thing. You know.
Yeah.
And you have the Jedi coming in and crashing them, and you crashing the party, and basically threatening in a way too. Like they
Right.
threaten them. You know.
Yeah. I mean they do. And in this flashback, we get Sol, we get Indara, and we get Torben, as well as Kalnaka, which I
Kalnaka, yeah.
can't wait to see him fight. That's just gonna
Yes.
That's gonna be cool. Yeah.
be awesome. So we get them, and then we see them like spreading this dogmatic view of the Jedi, and how it to me it kind of reminded me of like the conquistadors coming in and trying to take over everything and trying to convert people
Yeah.
Very
you
much
know,
so.
to like
Yeah,
their
I can see
religions
that,
and
you know,
stuff.
with the Spanish conquistadors trying to convert all the natives and basically saying if you don't convert, we're gonna,
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
It doesn't go that far, but it does feel that way. Hi.
Mhm. Well, we were Eric, we were just talking about that when you went and got a drink of water.
Yeah.
We were talking about how maybe this is the beginning of a new Jedi doctrine kind of going in
Well,
with this thought.
I think so, because when we see the Jedi in the prequels, we do see that they are a lot more strict in who they interact with, especially when it
Yes.
comes to just the general public.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because still at this time, it seems like most people have at least met a Jedi,
Met a Jedi, yeah.
seen a Jedi. Whereas
Mhm.
even by the prequels, most people are like, a Jedi? Those aren't
Yeah.
real. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that goes to what Leah and I have talked about quite a bit, like especially with covering the High Republic. That goes to the Jedi outposts, and how like the Jedi outposts are like the marshals stations of the Old West, where
Yeah.
you have the Jedi interacting with these communities. They're doing a lot for these people. And then when we get to the Living Force, which is a year before the Phantom Menace, the Jedi have pretty much all but closed all of their outposts
outposts,
except for
Right.
like a few of them. And the people feel isolated. They don't know much about the Jedi, and the Jedi don't know like the everyday struggles of people.
No, they
Right.
don't anymore. No.
Right.
Yeah.
You would never have to tell a Jedi in the High Republic to help one person
No,
because they're already trying to
They're
do
already
that.
trying to do
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why Avar in Temptation of the Force, she has this amazing speech in that book. And you guys should read the speech. It's awesome. But it's about helping people. It's about people helping each other. And that's what the Jedi of this era are about. And that's why you really see like when you have that interaction with Soul and Osha. Soul pulls his lightsaber out, but he lets Osha hold it.
He lets Osha hold it. Yeah.
And that just shows that he knows in order to gain these people's trust, he has to be vulnerable himself.
Yes.
Mhm.
And he does that very well. That's why I love Soul so much, because of how humble he is.
Yeah.
Again,
I
I think. Yeah. Go on, Matt.
I was just
You
going
go
to say
first.
that I love Soul's character, and he's almost got it's like a little bit of a Qui-Gon Jinn vibe, which I'm just like
Yes.
really
Yes,
here
very
for.
much so.
Yes.
Hasn't JJ said that Qui-Gon is his favorite
Yes.
character?
Yeah, he
Yes.
has.
Mm.
Yes, he has.
Sounds
And
about right.
they would be best friends. They
Oh,
would
yeah.
be like the best of
Yeah.
friends. But we get them to
Soul
crash
feels
into.
like a character who turns down a spot on the council.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
you know he did.
Definitely.
But Soul is also one of those types that he sees attachments as a good thing
He
because it's
does. Yeah.
what drives him.
Mhm.
There are a lot of Jedi in this era that see attachments as a way of connecting, that see attachments as the way of building each other up. Avar and Elzar in the books are a perfect example of that.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and we're seeing that here. So we get the witches agreeing to the children being tested as Jedi, but then they tell the children, "Look, you got to throw the test."
Yeah.
And May is all on board because all May wants to do is just be a witch.
And please the family unit. Yeah.
Yes. And then Osha doesn't want to do that because she feels that her destiny is elsewhere.
I
Mhm.
will also say too that I'm not entirely sure that I see May's ambitions as being entirely in the realm of pleasing the family. You know, like I think there's an element of that there,
Oh,
but
there it is.
I think that May. The impression that I get is that she sees this as kind of like her inheritance. You know,
Yeah,
and
she does.
and she sees Osha doing the same thing as kind of like basically is the same thing. And I think
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
probably what is putting so much pressure on Osha to want to have her own identity.
Yeah.
Because like I think that May is consumed by having everything just so, because having everything just so within this coven, she believes is something that she is entitled to.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
She is
also
the heir
think
Leah
I
has her
also
hand up.
think that
Yeah.
Osha could be also, let's be honest, I think she's also power hungry too, which is something that's
I
already
don't think
creeping in.
she is this much. Leah, go ahead.
No?
I this is just kind of an observation. I think it's interesting how the witches put a lot more emphasis on like their community working as a group over the Jedi. I mean, the Jedi do have emphasis on that, but the Jedi also are much more likely to work alone. They
Mhm.
they don't as often like coordinate their powers together. They don't have as much emphasis on like power of one, power of two, power of many.
Yeah.
But even though she is in this community that is very tight knit, very focused on group cohesion, Osha feels like she doesn't have a community there.
Yeah.
And she wants to go to the other one. And even though May is strong enough on her own as a little kid to hold off, her mother's thread pulling, as we saw in the training scene, she's able to hold it off on her own as a little kid. She doesn't need the power of many behind her, but she still wants to be then with that group. It's almost like they kind of both want what they don't have, if that makes sense.
No,
we
no,
lose
I
Mindy?
get it.
We did.
Yeah, yeah. Give me a second here. Yeah, you're good, Mandy. Thank you. Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from with that. I wouldn't say OSHA's power hungry. I don't think she is, because
I don't get that
she's
impression.
never
I don't
really
think
had
she's. I
power.
think she's 8 years old, and it's
She's trying to find
it's
herself.
hard being a child.
Yeah, especially when you're the only two children there.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
But to her, to Osha, this is her chance to have a real community, a real expansive world. To May, this is losing the only person she's ever had.
Yeah.
This is losing the person who is, as far as May is concerned, the same person as her. She's losing half of herself.
Right. Right.
So let's talk about the test real quick, and then we'll talk about the fire. The test, I think, is really interesting, as Soul knew that she was throwing it like the entire time. And like he saw right through that, and then he catches her in the lie, which I think is awesome, where she goes, "Yeah, no, that wasn't a mountain," and then Soul's like, "Yeah, who told you to fail this test?"
I thought that, Saul going correct, was kind of him acknowledging that he knew she knew, and he knew
Oh
that
yeah,
she was throwing it. So it's like he could probably sense that she knew what it was, and so it was just like, yeah, your internal spirit sense of what it is. Yeah, that's how you're actually right.
yeah,
It's like the statistical probability of getting every question on a true false test wrong.
yeah, yeah. Um, and I also loved hearing Soul's story about how he was a kid and he trained, or he took the test when he was 4,
Hmm.
and like he was taken away from his family, and you see when he talks about that, OSHA kind of struggles with, oh, I could be leaving everything I've ever known.
Right.
um and that's really, really hard for her. um which Okay, let me ask you this, because there's the scene with OSHA and Mother Annalisa, or yeah,
Anastasia.
Anasea. Sorry, I'm gonna butcher that name, and I apologize. Um, do you think Anasea was willing to let her go?
I think Anastasia would have in the end let
Yeah,
Osha go. I
yeah,
think honestly, I mean, we'll see when we see more of this story, but I
yeah,
even think Coral would come around to it eventually.
yeah,
Was Anasea the Zabrak woman, or was she the other
No,
one?
Anastasia is the human.
Okay, got it.
yeah. Coral's the Zabrak.
Got it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, part of it would probably end up being Coral just bowing to the leader's opinion, but also like, yeah, by by not having this bad blood with the Jedi that would happen if they were like, no, you can't take Osha.
And the
It
thing
would be
is,
kind of protecting them. It would be making sure that if Osha did end up deciding, oh, maybe I don't want to be with the Jedi, that like she wouldn't be mad at them and then would come back.
Yeah.
right. The other thing too that I see is like, she was successful in creating children through the Force using
Right.
the the
Yeah.
arcane tech, whatever that they have, right? There's no saying she couldn't do it again. So,
Well, that is also true.
So it's kind of
What's
like
17 more years?
yeah, right. So they gestated for 17 years.
I was making the Invincible reference.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, but so like
Ah.
I almost see it as like a little bit of politics in the Coven, where it's like they're doing stuff in the Force. There's no way that the Jedi wouldn't detect it. You know
Oh
what I
no,
mean?
they do.
Yeah. So
They-
it's so I think that they probably saw having to deal with the Jedi as an inevitability. So, if the Jedi can be appeased by letting one of the results of this experiment go, and when she wants to go anyway, then it
Yeah.
might enable them to continue surviving. I could see, like, from kind of an admin point of view with the Coven, maybe they felt they were backed into a corner.
I can see that too. Yeah. um. So let's talk about the fire and how, boy, that escalated quickly. To quote Anchorman.
Right?
Do you think, as somebody that's read the EU, and we know Leslie said that they were going to take a lot from High Republic, they were going to take a lot from the EU. Could this be God, what's her name? Abeloth's doing?
I
Oh.
think if we are getting her in canon, it would be most likely to come via the Skull Hati
I agree.
story.
Yeah.
Um just because I mean I think that would be where it would be.
No, I get it.
Just with where their story left off.
Right.
I've seen a couple people say like I kind of just want it to be like something that happened in that moment between the people who were there, not really manipulated one way or the other, because like I think it is a very satisfying story for it to be
Mhm.
basically an accident that it got as bad as it did.
Yeah.
Right.
And like definitely there's more going on than just what we've seen already.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
But-
100%. Because like there was
Yeah.
Was there anything flammable at the door? That's what I want to know.
There was the book itself. We don't know what the door was made of. Maybe it was made of magnesium. I don't know.
Just a door made of flint.
But like, I mean, I'm along for the ride. I like a good mystery. I love my
Sure.
mystery novels.
Mhm.
And I like when I can't tell what's happening until the very end of a mystery novel.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I liked about Boba Fett, because they didn't tell you everything, and it didn't
Yeah.
make sense until probably like
Yeah.
I'd say like
And
the
then-
last quarter.
Started coming together, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of these Star Wars shows do that.
Mm.
Yeah, that's just
Right, but it's only a problem when the woman run
yeah, that's right.
the woman run show with black leads.
Yeah, because
Then it's a problem when it doesn't give you everything all at once.
That's when all the angry dudes in sunglasses film their truck rants. So
yeah. Or we get clowns with red noses that are bald.
The coming mom at the very end was just
Oh yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
satire.
I gotta
loved
tell
it.
Cam that we put that on the show.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, yeah, because remember, Leah, women belong in the kitchen.
You're right. Sorry, I've got to leave. Back to the
Yeah,
kitchen for me.
exactly. You're not allowed to enjoy Star Wars.
She played along with that beautifully.
She really did. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, you got me, man. You got me with that. I was just like, did Leah actually leave?
No, but would have been funnier if I did.
Oh my
God, that would have been
right back in.
like left and then came back.
And then you just go, and another thing while I'm cooking your dinner.
both
Another
of us
thing.
collectively, our hearts would have stopped. And just like, oh crap.
Leah.
The camera turns back on and there's just a sandwich flying at the camera.
I was just about to say, hey Leah, go in the kitchen, make me a sandwich while the adults are talking about.
I love the
A nice loaf of sourdough bread. Perfect.
I love the one joke where it's like, make me a sandwich, and then like she pulls out a wand and just turns the dude into a sandwich.
That reminds me of my buddy Tim. He and I watched 24 like back in the day, and there was this one season where they had this guy that was just so over the top that was like, Claudia. So like one time Tim just walks up to me and goes, Claudia, make me a sandwich. So anyway,
yeah. On the subject of women, I love that Claudia Black is in Ahsoka. I know it's a complete tangent from what we're talking about, but like, I'm a huge Stargate fan, so like, I didn't realize that was Claudia Black when I saw her, and then I saw later that it was like who
was
it was.
She the mother?
Yeah, the Reverend Mother? No, that's Dune. The whatever the High Priestess lady is.
They're all the same, Matt.
Listen, Gabe.
Double toil and trouble.
Yeah, exactly. they just have freaking cauldrons now. Which I'm really.
They just got here from telling Macbeth about his coming doom.
They're the three fates.
Isn't one of the episodes called Toil and Trouble?
It might be.
Okay, I think the Macbeth references were very intended.
Yeah,
I could wax poetic about the mythological and literary inspirations or references or connections in Ahsoka for so long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did have like.
But this is not that show.
Yeah. Well, there was the one episode that was pretty much The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Right.
And that was like the finale. And it was like the Jedi, the Witch, and like the Warlord or something like that. It was something like that.
And I mean Skolan Hati from Norse mythology.
Yeah.
Scolding
hot tea, that's how I like it.
Scolding hot
and
tea.
I had a whole thing that I sent to a friend when the show was airing that I would have to dig it back up, but I had a whole thing connecting it to Beowulf.
Oh yeah, definitely.
How like the story structure kind of felt very Beowulf.
Yeah.
And how in the end for Beowulf, he does not save the day, but he does make it possible for a new hero to go on and do heroic things.
Yeah.
there's the Arthurian tie-ins, of course, which we also get in the High Republic.
Yeah, a lot
there's
of
so much.
Arthurian in the High Republic.
It's lots to chew on in Ahsoka. It's Ahsoka is one of the shows that, on rewatching it, I've been like, wow, there's more to like. Like I like it more on a rewatch.
Yeah.
Some I like less on a rewatch. We don't talk about the things that we don't like.
I mean, if you have a valid criticism for it, I'm cool with that. But
honestly, most of what I don't like is when I just get tired of seeing something everywhere.
No, I get it.
Sorry, Grogu, you're very cute. You're also everywhere all the time.
And remember, like, I was one of those people that I was like, get this kid off the screen.
It got to a point where I started seeing chatter basically saying that Grogu memes were just minion memes for millennials, and I was just like,
they kind of are. They kind of are. I mean, I love Grogu just from like a comedic standpoint. But I can only take so much of him before I'm just.
There's only so much Grogu one can handle.
So what you're saying is we flood the Discord with Grogu memes. Got it.
Honestly, that would be funny. That I would actually be okay with that. In like a post-ironic hopeful nihilist way.
I mean, I was annoyed when he came back in Book of Boba Fett also because it just completely erased the Mandalorian season 2 finale.
Do we want to get back to May setting a fire and burning down the fort? Whoa.
Yeah, so May didn't know that only you can prevent forest fires.
That's right. Smokey the Bear doesn't exist in.
No.
Smokey the Bear would probably be a Wookiee in Star Wars, wouldn't he?
No, it's probably like Smokey the Lothcat or something like that.
Smokey the Lothcat.
Probably.
Smokey the Ewok.
John, you get that out of my channel right now. You get that out of memes. He posted.
I need to see it before it gets deleted. Wait.
My dog smells when I go back in the house and I forgot something. And he's like really happy. Fine, I'll go out, but I'm only having one drink. 10 drinks later, it's a freaking
Is that Spike? Is that Spike the coolest gremlin?
Gremlin, yes.
Oh, that's
all right.
Hilarious.
Anyway, back to Smokey the Lothcat. And only you can prevent forest fires. So
Smokawaru the Wookiee.
Yes, Smokawaru the Wookiee. I know it's a Grogu meme. Yeah, I just feel like this fire got too big though. Like I just feel like somebody else like egged it on.
I'm wondering about foul play from the Jedi because
I'm thinking Torben was involved.
I would say so because it's just like everything at this point, like Torben, the first lady, I forget her name. The one that
Indara.
Yeah. So like Indara, I could see her as kind of like one of those like greater good ends justify the means types. But Torben definitely had a guilty conscience that he was asking May for forgiveness after it's established that May is being trained by a Sith. You know, it does make me wonder if the Jedi took advantage of that fire. You know,
I have a feeling like it had something to do with the black eyes thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a feeling like it had something to do with that.
Yeah, maybe. The other thing too is that maybe the cult leader lady foresaw this, or Mother Anastasia, because she was talking about are carrying the mantle upon their death. You know,
that's true.
So
that's true.
There is some sort of, for the sake of keeping it PG, some fudgery afoot.
Oh, there's much fudgery.
Yes,
very much fudging. So I picked Torben. Matt, it seems like you're going with the Torben thing too.
Yeah.
Leah, what are we thinking? What are we leaving?
I really don't know. I like Torben's definitely somehow involved,
Yeah.
but I think it's going to be complicated. It's going to be messy. It's going to be one of those things where at the end of it, we're left kind of like, well, whose fault was it? Even once we know everything that happened.
Right.
I think it's just going to be a cascading like failure after failure. You know, everyone's rolling nat ones on their charisma checks.
Except for Soul.
Except for Soul.
Every
Honestly,
time that man
I think
speaks,
that
that's
Soul might. I think, and I've seen this echoed by a few other people, that like I think Soul might have a lot on his hands, a lot on his shoulders. If only that he's like, I could have stopped it at like XYZ point.
Yeah.
I think so in the chat we have the suggestion, Indara and Torben had direct involvement. Kelnaka did nothing and felt guilty, and Soul did good. And I think that is also kind of leaning on the idea that the order that May is targeting these Jedi has some meaning.
Yeah.
So going from like most to least responsible, so going for the Master and then the Padawan, because the Padawan is going to follow the Master's lead.
Right.
And then the one who did nothing, and the one who tried to help. I think it could also be the opposite, where it's like, okay, Indara, maybe she did, have direct involvement with it, but maybe she has kind of the best excuse for it, or whatever that may be. And then Torben, and then because Torben and Kelnaka, we see them both in. Well, Kelnaka, we're not 100% sure, but it seems like they're in some kind of self-imposed exile.
Yeah.
And then and Indara seems very focused on just this one planet, on Ueda.
Yeah.
She seems very well integrated into the community there, so presumably she's been there for some time.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
And then Soul is the one who's still like very active at the Coruscant Temple. So I can also see it being like, maybe she sees Soul as being the one who did the worst because he is the one who hasn't done penance for what he did.
Or maybe he was the one that really spread the fire, because remember, sometimes the bad guy comes back to the scene of the crime.
Well, there's something to that. When Soul is training those younglings in the first scene where he's at, he asks what the younglings see. One of them says they see a fire.
Yeah, and he jumps a little bit.
Yeah,
when he hears that.
Yeah, he's rattled a little bit by that. Yeah.
Yeah, but then
and like, do I think that it was entirely intentional? Whatever, if he had a part in it. No, I don't think that he set out to kill a bunch of people.
No, he didn't.
But I think at least he definitely thinks that he could have done more to stop it.
I agree.
I think all of them, maybe except Indara. I don't know. We don't get a lot of internal thoughts from Indara.
No, not yet anyway.
Not yet anyway. Kind of, I mean, definitely Soul and Torben have some amount of like, that could have gone differently, and it's kind of my fault.
Going back to the Anchorman thing, that escalated quickly. It got out of hand. It did, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
I think Sith involvement is very possible.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely Sith than Abeloth.
Darth Jabberjaw.
Darth Jabberjaw.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
That means Animal is going to be now a Star Wars character.
Darth Animal!
Wouldn't that be awesome? He just runs around and he's just going,
Wookie, Wookie, Wookie!
Fucking woman, fucking woman.
Um.
And then
Anyway.
drum? No drum. I love Animal. He's great.
My
Actually,
favorite member of the Electric Mayhem is and has always been Janice, but that's just my
I mean,
personal
Janice
taste.
is a great character.
For
Janice,
surely.
yeah.
But yeah.
It's actually
Moving back to Star Wars, moving right along.
I think we're losing it at this point.
Yeah, we've lost.
I know I'm definitely starting to gas out a
Yeah,
little bit.
We've
getting
lost our hyperspace beacon.
we have Star Wars Muppets. Yeah, I would pay.
Star Wars Muppets. Go and watch the
Pigs
Star Wars episode of the Muppet Show.
and the
God.
Muppet Babies. They did one for Muppet Babies too.
True. But yeah, it's very complicated whatever happened with this fire. I don't think it's just May set a fire and she burned down the fort. Whoa. She definitely started a fire, but
She left her cheese pita in the toaster oven. That's what happened.
she put something wrapped in aluminum foil in the microwave.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was an unrelated accident.
Yeah. Workplace.
And like people have pointed out, like the generator thingy seemed to be sparking earlier. Like maybe it was just an accident and something happened, and then something happened that prevented people from escaping. Why were all the witches dead? Maybe it was just smoke inhalation. Maybe there was some kind of leak. Maybe they tried to do something with the force and it overwhelmed them and they collapsed.
Yeah, I mean it could be any number of things, really. I think we're gonna find out though. We're gonna find out very soon.
Yeah. Did everything converge in a cataclysm of violence? We don't know. That is a deep cut phase 2 joke. Sorry, Matt.
No,
No,
you're
it's
good.
Eric understood, which is why he's making that face.
Don't say I can fix him. You better not even say that.
Astarian
you
fangirls be like,
you know damn well who I'm talking about when I say that too.
But he's so much more fun broken. That's also a High Republic reference. That's also explicitly a High Republic reference.
Because he's chaos?
Oh, I'm talking about a different guy who is he's so much more useful to me already broken.
Okay. What, Pickle? What do you want?
The High Republic is full of pathetic men who have done terrible things.
Remember, pathetic woke men read the High Republic.
Weak, soy-filled High Republic fans.
Yes. I'm a High Republic beta now because
that is a fascinating argument. Here is a Wojak meme.
Unfortunately, I have already drawn you as the soy jack and myself as a Chad. You know who would make arguments like that, Eric?
Niv
Drendow.
Niv would make arguments like that. That's true. That is true. That is very true.
Should we wrap it up? Because I think that we're losing it.
We're losing it here.
Let's tie it up with one last thing, one last scene.
Sure.
Ignoring Torben having a big scar on his face in this scene.
What?
Soul saying, "You will never feel like this again. I will make sure that you never feel like this." She's gonna feel like this again.
Oh yeah, but
it's Chekhov's emotional distress.
I will tell you this. I love that scene so much because of just how much of a father figure Soul becomes at that point.
Yes.
And I love that he just embraces her and just doesn't let her go. I absolutely love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, The Acolyte. streaming every Tuesday night on Disney Plus. Now, where's money, please? Where's our paycheck? Money, please, for being shills, because that's what we are. We're Disney shills. Anyway.
I'm shocked I haven't been called a shill yet. It's coming.
Oh no, it's coming. Yeah. One last thing, Disney Parks news. Country Bear Jamboree reopening July 17th. So if you were looking for Country Bears, there you go.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it. We laughed, we cried, we said, "What the hell is wrong with you people?" Um, you know, we had some moments. Matt, always good to have you back, buddy.
Always a pleasure. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. We gotta keep in touch more often,
We do.
bud. We do.
We do.
Leah, as always, you know I love you. You know you're one of my buddies. We do
I'm
this.
here all the time.
Oh, I know. But you know what? We do this because we love it, and that's all that matters. So just
We are saving what we love.
thank you, Rose Tico.
Yes.
Thank you.
Look, there are definitely valid criticisms to be had
We love you
of
too, John.
Last Jedi, just like all
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Wars things, just like all movies and shows ever.
Mhm.
But Rose Tico is a fantastic addition.
Oh, she is.
And that line is, I use it all the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, fight for what you love. And remember, at the end of the day, folks, we're all the Republic. So until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.